By the time I was 15, there was one thing I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt. My whole being said yes. Everything I did with my mom growing up was about learning and discovery and nature. I remember asking her, what would happen if we planted this little popcorn kernel in the ground? And she said, well, let's find out. She was the best, so hands-on and fun. I knew that I wanted to be a mother like her. I wanted to be pregnant. I wanted to go through a natural birthing process. By the time I was 19, I dreamed of having the perfect husband by 26 and all three of our kids by the time I was 30. But what's true is by the time I was 37, I was in a handful of unhealthy relationships with men that I would never want to spend my life with or have children with. And my body wasn't healthy either. I was diagnosed with a large uterine fibroid that was really painful and threatening my ability to become pregnant. The next 9 years were debilitating, and the pain in my womb consumed me. My menstrual cycles were every 3 weeks and heavy and long. My iron and blood dropped so low, I fainted and had to get blood transfusions every few months for years. I was barely functioning. Each doctor I'd see, mostly male, would pretty much say the same thing. Oh, you're over 40? Well, you might as well get a hysterectomy. All of these doctors were giving me advice that didn't match who I am. Being the tenacious sage that I am, I was determined. No, I want to keep my uterus. No, I want to potentially have a fucking family. And no, there is another way. So about a year after having some tissue removed from my uterus, I found another doctor who did an outpatient surgery using ablation, which helped shrink the fibroid to half its size in 9 months. But my cycles were still heavy and long, and the pain in my womb had become unbearable. 2 years later, I finally found an OBGYN to do an ultrasound and learned that the fibroid had regrown, much larger. It was taking up the whole space of my uterus. I continued hemorrhaging, losing almost a unit of blood per cycle, sleeping with towels on my bed, changing clothes all day, more transfusions, more blood tests, and more doctors who always mentioned my age and the low likelihood of me becoming pregnant. My stomach had become so bloated, people asked me if I was pregnant, which only added to all the covering up of the grief that I was holding. Most days, my womb felt like it was being cut to pieces with razor blades, mixed with the deepest cramps that pierced the core of my being so intensely, I thought I would die. I could feel every trauma I've ever had stored in my womb, begging to be heard, crying. Some days, I wanted to run away from my own body. I knew I couldn't go on like this. And I also knew that I wanted to keep my uterus, even if I couldn't birth children. I agonized for months. Should I remove my uterus? Should I try to remove the fibroid? I was convinced if my body had created this fibroid, well, then my body sure as hell could heal it naturally too. I spent years working with incredible shamans and healers. And with divine guidance, 1 year ago, I met Dr. Najat in Palo Alto, California, who said that I can still get pregnant if my eggs are fertile. He also said that he could help me. For months while I was preparing for surgery, I had so much anxiety because I thought that once I went under, it was the doctor's decision if I got to keep my uterus or not, based on what he found while I was under. I canceled multiple surgery dates because that is all I could think about. And then finally, I was in so much pain. I just put my life in his hands. It wasn't until 5 days before my surgery, when I went in for my pre-op with him, I learned that he had never planned to remove my uterus without my consent. That's how much trust I put in my surgeon. So much shifted after this. All those months of going back and forth and rescheduling and literally making myself sick, I felt this huge relief. My stomach stopped churning in knots. My mind stopped playing out every possible scenario. I was able to go into surgery 5 months ago, not only knowing that I was held and supported, I also knew that I would wake up with my uterus intact, no matter what. This changed everything. Deepest fear that had been eating away at me was released, and I still had hope of becoming pregnant. My surgery was extremely difficult and successful. I'm really grateful I had the surgeon that I did, whose gift is preserving the uterus. Dr. Najat is a true medicine Buddha, and I thank myself for choosing him. I'm continuing to heal my womb every day, finding new ways to be with the healing. Some days, the pain is as bad as it was before surgery, and I'm trusting I will heal it completely. I'm losing about 1/3 the amount of blood with my cycles, and my blood count's higher than it's been in 8 years. I felt the deep concern of my partner, my mom, and my friends, and I knew this was a decision I needed to make for myself, by myself, in my own time. Recently, I had a blood test to measure my AMH hormone level, which can help determine if I can still get pregnant. I picked up the test results, which sat in an unopened envelope for weeks. I both couldn't wait to open them, and I was really, really scared. So much finality in knowing. A few weeks ago, I made a solo trip to the ocean to spend the day with myself and my results. When I got there, I reached down into the car door and pulled out the envelope. And when I opened it and looked down at the numbers, my heart sank. My hormone level was 1/10 away from the lowest range for a 46-year-old woman, and almost the exact number that I had predicted. That day I went to the beach, I didn't totally feel all my sadness in the moment. It was too big, too real. It wasn't until later that I was able to embrace the results, because I just didn't want to give up. Finally, when I was with a girlfriend who helped me step into my grief, I heard my soul say to myself, I'm sorry, I'm hurting, and I can't change this.